Let's start off with the G-men in New York, the New York Giants. Let's start with their QB1. Does Danny Dimes have any relevance this year in fantasy? He's got a ton of weapons now. What do you think his ceiling is?
Uh, well, he finished QB 24 last year with pretty much the same team, addition of Gallaudet. But I am high on the
Minus
Giants.
Saquon.
Yeah, they still got
Yeah,
Saquon
minus
too.
Saquon. So, well, Saquon addition now.
Yeah.
But I'm high on the Giants offense. I do like the addition of Gallaudet and Saquon's return, fantasy wise. But it's a prove it year for Daniel Jones. The one thing that is an issue is his turnovers. He's had 29 turnovers in 27 games. So halfway through the season, he might not even make it through the season if that's not fixed. But he can run the ball. Last podcast, T-Guys brought up how he has more rushing yards than Mahomes for what that's worth. But he can run the ball. He might not make it to the end zone because he'll trip on the white line. But I just don't know how much you're trusting him being your QB1 outside of him having all these good weapons.
Yeah,
I agree. I like him as
well.
definitely like a late round QB2. I mean, his 2019 season with Saquon healthy all year was much better than his season last year. So I think him being back helps. And of course, having Kenny Gallaudet helps. Because aside from that, they still have Sterling Shepard, Darius Slayton, who I like a lot. And I just think he definitely has a big leap this year compared to last year. But I just don't know if he's going to put up them QB1 numbers. I just don't see him finishing inside that top 12. Maybe like between 15 and 20, I see. Definitely not outside the top 20 again. But I just don't see him having them QB1 numbers.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's more of a late round QB2. I think his ceiling is probably between 12 and 15. I think that's where like you could see him being like a viable like fill-in starter at best.
Yeah, for some reason I do have the feeling that he could have like a sneaky Kirk Cousins type season where no one talks about how good of a season he's having in fantasy, but just somehow leaps up the board.
Too risky right now for me to kind of bet on that. But I do think I wouldn't be shocked.
I don't know what it is, but Giants just like getting quarterbacks that have that dumb Eli Manning face. I think Daniel Jones has the same thing.
Yeah,
he does have a dumb looking face.
Yeah. All right, next question here. I hope he's not watching. Kenny Gallaudet is one of the new wide receiver additions here in New York, as we already mentioned. Where are you targeting Kenny Gallaudet in drafts, and are you worried about this early injury already?
Definitely worried because we saw a hamstring injury linger all last season and only allowed him to play 3 games. If he's 100%, which I'd like to hear that soon before our draft personally, he could finish top 15, previously shown in 2019 when he played a full season with Matt Stafford. Obviously, Daniel Jones isn't Matt Stafford, but a full season, and he's definitely the wide receiver 1. It's there. Just you are a little worried.
Yeah, I agree. Right with you, Q.
Yeah, he's being drafted as wide receiver 26, so it's a pretty good ADP for someone that has that potential to be a wide receiver 1, as we've seen in the past. But definitely a little bit risky with the injury history. That's the only thing that really scares me, and I think that's why his ADP is where it's at. So I'm targeting more as a wide receiver 2, low end, personally.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. For the remaining wide receiver core, which one are you targeting after Gallaudet? So as of right now, they're all pretty much going pretty much free in 10-team leagues, 12-team leagues. Sterling Shepard's going wide receiver 68, 199th overall. I think that's still one of the late rounds there. Kadarius Toney, wide receiver 72, and Slayton, wide receiver 85. Which one do you like the most?
What is up with all this Darius Slayton slander?
But yeah, I was about to say was the argument me and Matt had all season, and I had won that argument because when Shepard came back, he was the guy,
I was the guy.
I was humble about it.
You did,
but
I gotta give credit where it's due.
Yeah, when Slayton came back, he never had a game under 5 targets, averaged around 7 or 8. Obviously, Shepard. So yeah, Shepard. So I do like Shepard the most. Obviously, there's value with Slayton as well, being the big play guy. You just have to hope that Daniel Jones targets him out of the many weapons they have. There's no Golden Tate anymore, so I guess I don't know. But they do have a rookie. But Shepard, even being the first one drafted after Gallaudet, I still think he has the best value.
I agree with you. I think Shepard is definitely the best option out of those three right there. But I still think that Evan Ingram is going to get his fair share of targets this year. So that kind of hinders the potential of any other receiver. And of course, Saquon Barkley being back, he's going to eat up a lot of targets as well out of the backfield. So I think this offense is going to be pretty well balanced. So it's kind of going to be hard for anybody past those three in Gallaudet, Ingram, and Saquon to really get like a lot of production. But if anybody, it's definitely got to be Sterling Shepard.
Yep. I would definitely agree with you there too. I like Shep a lot. So I'll talk about him more in a little bit here. But let's get into some cap or no cap. Start with RB1. If Saquon Barkley is fully healthy for week 1, he should be an automatic top 5 pick. Cap or no cap?
No cap.
I have him at 6, so technically capped.
Man, his rookie season, he finished RB2 in fantasy. The year after that, where he missed, I believe, like 3 or 4 games, he finished RB10. So imagine if he didn't miss those games, he'd easily be inside that top 5.
I lied. He actually have him at 4th. I was just guessing. I found
an
that
EQ.
but yeah, he had a monstrous rookie season, offensive rookie of the year, I think.
Yeah. But go ahead.
Take it away. With Gallaudet, we can bring Gallaudet for everything, but with Gallaudet now being like a respectable wide receiver, and they don't have to stack the box, which is what got Saquon hurt. Their offensive line was bad, and they just pummeled him every play. He can only break so many tackles with the quads.
Yeah.
Right. And just going back, sorry, Sean, let me get this out real quick. But the top 5 running backs of last year was Alvin Kamara, Dalvin Cook, Derrick Henry, David Montgomery, and Aaron Jones. I could easily see CMC and Saquon both taking over, possibly maybe Aaron Jones, David Montgomery spots in that top 5. Yeah. Maybe if even Alvin Kamara could fall outside of that due to Drew Brees not being there, and that whole entire Saints offense kind of looking suspect right now. So I don't see any reason why he shouldn't be top 5.
Yeah, I agree. If he's fully healthy, no cap, 100%, he should be a top 5 pick. I had him at 4.
Talent-wise, he could be top 3 running back in the league. I mean, he is.
He could be number 1.
He could be easily. I had him at 4, but I moved him down to 6 just because of the injury concerns. But I think if you know he's fully healthy for week 1, easily have to take him top 5.
For sure.
All right, next one here, cap or no cap, Evan Ingram still has the potential to be a top 12 tight end this season.
Cap. And I hate that
no cap.
I hate that I talked about him being whatever I said. I said something good about him, but I took it all back. He has a drop issue that needs to be fixed. I have him ranked 9th in tight ends, but the addition of Kyle Rudolph may hurt his value, especially in the red zone. I think Kyle Rudolph is a guy that's going to vulture a lot of those touchdowns that could be going to Ingram. Top 12, even with tight ends being very bad last year, I still can't see it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just saying no cap based off the fact that he only finished 5 points away from being top 12 last year. I forget who exactly came in 12th, but I did forget about the addition of Kyle Rudolph, because my next point was going to be that Evan Ingram had a whole lot of red zone work last year. So, I mean, that might take away a little bit of his touchdown capability. But the Giants also do have the 5th easiest schedule for tight ends this year, which is something to keep note on. So they're not going to be facing anybody with really like a great defense that's good at defending the tight end position. So I could see possibly Kyle Rudolph and Evan Ingram both having a decent year, but I just like Evan Ingram a lot more. He's still much younger. And he's just more familiar with the offense. And I feel like Danny Dimes kind of trusts him more. So
yeah, I agree as well. I think I'm going to say no cap also. I mean, I think he still has the potential to be a top 12 tight end, but there's just so many mouths to feed there. Gallaudet is going to take up some of that red zone work. Kyle Rudolph, he might have like 20 catches on the season, but 5 of them are going to be touchdowns somehow. He's just going to be a nuisance.
All one-handed.
Yeah, exactly. Just some crazy touchdowns for no reason. But yeah, Evan Ingram, he still has the talent. He's just got to put it all together, and he also has to stay healthy. So I think that's why he wouldn't with all the mouths to feed. He could end up being like the 4th or 5th option on this team with all the talent they have on that roster. So
that number 12 last year was Hunter Henry.
And he's hurt.
Yeah.
already. All right. Last cap or no cap, Kadarius Toney will have some value this year because at least one Giants wide receiver will get injured.
No cap because that probably will happen.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but I gotta agree, no cap.
I mean, your wide receiver one's already hurt. Shepard's had some injury history. I don't know about
course.
Slayton.
I feel like every single Giants wide receiver last year had some sort of injury going on throughout the season where they missed games.
Yeah. And it was
And
the
even
same thing in
Ingram.
2019 too, I think.
Yeah. There was never a game where like their stars played or their offensive guys played that one game together.
Yeah. A lot of injuries here. Toney definitely could have some value this year, especially if somebody goes down, especially if Shepard goes down. Not preferably, but if if Shepard does go down, Toney is more of a slot guy, so he would definitely step right into that role and get some targets. All right, let's get into our bold takes and favorite targets. Matt, start us off. What do you got?
Alrighty. It's a guy that Q has been bringing up a whole lot so far talking about the Giants, and that's Kenny Gallaudet. I believe he will finish back inside the top 20 of wide receivers this year, barring injury, of course. He's still only 27, so he still has some good years ahead of him. The downgrade at QB kind of scares me a little bit, but we saw what he was able to do in a bad offense. And I'm not calling this a bad offense at all. Like I said earlier, they're well balanced. I think Daniel Dimes is more than capable of getting the ball downfield to Kenny Gallaudet, especially if they're in the red zone, like Sean said. So I just see Kenny Gallaudet sneaking his way back up. And right now he's going as wide receiver 26, I believe. So you could be cashing out on some Kenny Gallaudet this year.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I'm going to one-up you and say Kenny Gallaudet finishes top 12 if he plays the whole season healthy. In 2019, he was wide receiver 9. Yes, he's not Stafford. Daniel Jones is not Stafford, but he's a wide receiver 1 on that team by a long shot. And their defense is all right, but there's going to be games where they're playing from behind. So he'll definitely be looked at. You just got to hope that the injury doesn't linger from last season to training camp. And yeah, it's there though.
Potential is definitely there. I mean, we know the talent's there. It's just a matter of staying healthy and Danny Dimes getting him the ball enough.
For sure. And he
would
could
not
see
be
a lot of
shocked.
one-on-one coverage this year with Saquon being back. So
Saquon, good wide receivers around him too. So yeah, Gallaudet, he definitely has that potential still. A little bit of a risk, but definitely worth it. I'll finish this off here. Sterling Shepard finally has a fully healthy season and finishes as a top 35 wide receiver. I don't think it's that bold, but he did have 7.5 targets already a game, like you mentioned, for last season. He's always been a target monster for Danny Dimes. He's super good in the open field, over the middle there. And even in training camp this year thus far, they have been raving about him. He's been able to generate a lot of buzz. So Sterling Shepard looks to be poised for a good season. Obviously, the only thing that scares you is his health. And if you can get him at wide receiver 68, you could get an absolute steal and redraft. So I'm taking Sterling Shepard. I think he definitely has flex upside if he's able to stay healthy. With Gallaudet taking away a lot of the attention, he might just be able to be open all the time.